So I'm Mike Prasad, and this is Spencer Toyama. We're the lead partners on Kinetiq Labs, which is one of Hawaii's first Accelerator, Incubator hybrid programs aimed at funding and developing and growing startups.
So I'm doing the operations for the Incubator Accelerator hybrid. We should come up with a name of that, like Accelerator.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
So for the Accelerator, I'll be kind of the boots on the ground and coordinating teams, the mentors in the programs. My background is largely in operations management and business automation. I was an executive at Bonterra Solar for the last few years, or one of the larger solar companies in Hawaii.
And you brought them from like nothing to like how many millions of dollars?
Yes.
Yes, they're a private company.
Okay. Small company to a fairly large company. And before that I was a teacher, so I feel like this is really suited for my skill set of managing a curriculum and coordinating people.
One thing Spencer's amazing at is looking at understanding concepts and taking processes and making them really efficient, and then tracking that data and then working with teams to make sure that they progress and grow in a measurable way, and optimizing that over and over again. And so I'm creating systems to then streamline all of that. So it's one thing that I'm looking forward to seeing what he's able to produce and what you're able to put together, as we go forward. My background is more so on the opposite side of the spectrum. So I'm admittedly horrible at operations, but what I'm really good at is marketing and business strategy, bootstrapping startups. I've had a long history and track record of that. I started about 10 years ago actually as a designer, but ended up going to marketing and business strategy as a consultant. Did that for a number of years. Eventually raised some money, did a couple of different startups, a couple of different types of exits. And what I've always wanted to do was take what I've learned over the last decade, across the board, from even just basic branding and identity to business strategy and market positioning and customer acquisition, all the good stuff, right? And building models on it. And I love building models and figuring out how to take what is otherwise a very one-to-one process and create something that can be repeatable and use as a tool set for multiple businesses to create growth. And I think only when you have a true level of growth with tools that are independent of individuals can you really look at something that creates its own perpetual growth. And so our goal with Kinetiq is to create a platform for that. Outside of the startup world, I did a number of startups. GrowGamer.com was one of the more notable ones. I did a gambling startup, which ended up being a public company. I was one of the youngest CTOs of a publicly traded company for a while. Also did Kogi Barbecue, which is the first twittering food truck that focused on niche culture engagement, social media, using technology for a non-technology business, and that kind of set a worldwide trend. And so my expertise fundamentally is around creating culture, taking that culture, tying it to technology, and building all of that around a business strategy and a growth strategy. So marketing, customer side, and that's kind of what my focus is. The idea is that between our two skill sets, we can create a platform, and the rest of our team as well, we can create a platform that allows startups to come in and not worry about the fundamentals. We're going to help them skip all the potholes in the road that they normally hit, not knowing accounting or not knowing marketing or not knowing development, let's say. And the idea is that we create a platform for that, for them to optimize their specialization, which then increases their chances of succeeding on the top end.
The Accelerator is slightly different from most other accelerator models in that it's multi-phase. So we can have teams start out in a limited amount of time. The first phase is 4 weeks, and that allows them to create paper prototyping and develop their pitch, just like most accelerators do. And from there, we can graduate them to the next phase, which gives them more funding. But I feel like the key to the accelerator is having a multi-phase process, so that if they're going from one phase and maybe they don't have all their stuff together, maybe they're not ready to move on to additional funding, additional seed funding, then they can stop there, they can retrack their efforts and readdress it and move on to the next phase. So, and I think that's like I feel like that's what we're trying to address with the traditional accelerator model, in that a lot of accelerators just kind of give, you know, a large amount of money straight off the bat, and then if the teams fail, then well, they'll have 20 other companies that can come in and use that seed funding. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to stem off that risk and make sure that the companies that go through our accelerator are that much more successful because they failed really fast, but they were able to recover and move on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a big idea, a big concept is fail fast, succeed fast, right? So you look at a lot of startups, a lot of companies get funded, they go in there, they get their funding, they don't know how to spend that money wisely, they've never done this before, and they'll spend 6 months or a year or 2 years or $20,000 or $1 million, and they'll spend at the end of it and they'll realize, okay, we have to pivot. What we're doing is not sustainable, it's not a business. We're trying to eliminate that time and money cost, right? So we have 3 phases. Phase 1 is validation. It's 1 month, it's like a traditional accelerator. We take you through pitching, through your business model, your presentation, your financial model, your customer acquisition model, your development plan, all that good stuff. That's 1 month. At the end of that month, you pitch like you would in any other program and try and graduate. At that point, you get, if you graduate, you get access to the next phase of the accelerator, which is 3 months. That's incubation. At that phase, you get the majority of your money, and you're able to build out whatever your product or service is to a market launch. And you have to do that within 3 months. You're able to graduate from that phase, you go to your 3rd phase, which is going to be market acceleration. And that's where you're doing, we're giving you additional funds, and the goal between that is to drive whatever your measurement of growth is going to be, whether it's customers, of course, revenue, market share, business partnerships, deals, whatever that key KPI is for your business, we want you to grow that. And at that point, we're going to present you to other investors. We don't want to present you to another investor until you are a solid business, where you have all the pieces that are needed, and you have understanding of your customer and your market and how to scale, and ideally be at that point of scale. The goal is to get you to the beginning of the hockey stick growth curve. That way we see what your trajectory is, and at that point you're the most valuable to investors, and you're going to give up the least as an entrepreneur to an investor to get the next round of funding. So we're investing a total of $60,000 in each startup.
Up to $60,000 in each startup.
So we're doing, you get $5,000 for your first month, which is going through the validation phase. If you graduate, you get up to 50 in the second phase. Now that 50 is determined not by how much can you spend, but what do you need to launch your product or service. And so you have to validate the budget with us, and it has to be approved by us, and then you'll get your funds. So if you need 50, you get 50. If you need 20, you get 20. You can pretty much, the minimum will be 20, and the maximum will be 50. And at the end of that, you go to phase 3, which is the market acceleration. You get additional $5,000 for the purposes of marketing and launching and gaining customers. Now, if you were frugal in your incubation phase, you might have the option of getting more money for market acceleration. And that'll be on a case-by-case basis. In terms of what equity we take, we're taking a mixture of common stock and warrants, which is extremely entrepreneur-friendly. The exact percentages we are still working out to make the best match that will incentivize entrepreneurs to come to our program, but it will also make our investors feel savvy, or feel safe, I should say. And it'll be on par with most other accelerator programs. There's not going to be any different. We're building our selection criteria around our mentor network, our expert network, and our in-house team. So, for example, none of us in our team are particularly savvy in creating the next Zynga, right? So we're not going to be looking for gaming startups, for example. That said, what we are good at is looking at any kind of startup that focuses on consumers, specifically e-commerce or social media or any kind of media creative side. We're looking at any kind of startups that focus on platforms. So something where it's a tool or platform or application that facilitates the consumer engagement. So an example would be like eBay, right? eBay facilitates buyers and sellers, but it is a platform. We're looking at something like that. Or we're looking at startups that focus on multi-market, not just the US market, not just the Hawaii market. We want them to incubate here, but scale to multiple different markets where we have our follow-on funding like that.
I feel like what Kinetiq has to offer to startups is a very hands-on approach and something very focused on the people and developing companies in a way that avoids the risk of normal startups, of normally going through the incubator. I feel like we've identified those and have created a program that will allow them to have greater success at minimal failure.
Yeah, the difference I think between us and everyone else is that we're just different. It's just simply that. There isn't I think among the other programs happening in the market, everyone has their position and has their focus. We clearly have our focus. And I think if a startup fits the criteria that we're looking for, it has the type of audience focus that we're looking for, the type of application dynamic that we're looking for, we want them to come to us. And if they don't fit, we'll recommend them to the one they do fit. And so we're hoping that startups are very aggressive in looking at what incubator to join, or what accelerator to join, and they find the one that best fits their needs as opposed to any other factor.
I feel like I guess that's what we're looking for, but I also kind of want to add on a little bit about the teams that we're looking for, because I think what makes our accelerator a little different is that a lot of us here are friends, and we're looking for startup teams. I mean, they don't have to be best friends, but people that have the ability to work together for the long term and have the ability to keep going when things get really, really tough. And I think that's something that we've had to deal with, like going through this whole accelerator process. It's about recognizing the human element as much as it is all those marketing and operational elements as well. And I feel like that's kind of at the core of what our accelerator is really about, being human.
Hi, I'm Mike from Kinetiq Labs. This is
Spencer Toyama.
And please follow up with us, and if you're interested in joining our accelerator, visit us at kinetiqlabs.com, Kinetiq with a Q. Follow us on Facebook. We're making announcements next couple of weeks, and we look forward to meeting you, and hopefully if you're in the area, stop by HQ, learn more about our program.
We're at 6850 Wahi Street, so don't be a stranger.